Good afternoon. I'm Dr. G. Vijay Kumar, Professor, Department of Agriculture Engineering, Sri Shanmugha College of Engineering Technology, Salem. So today let's have the topic on moisture content of agricultural produces and its measurement. So first of all, the moisture content is a amount of water present in the agricultural materials or grains. So this is very important to measure for it increases in shelf life and also the storage and transportation purpose. So the moisture content is the amount of water present in a product and is expressed in percentage on wet basis and a dry basis. We can calculate the moisture content by wet basis and a dry basis. So for example, let us consider that WW is the wet weight of the sample, initial weight, and WD is the dry weight of the sample. In both are measured in grams. So the weight of moisture of the sample is removed is WW weight minus dry weight. So initial weight minus final weight. With this, so we can have the wet basis formula like the weight of moisture divided by wet weight multiplied by 100. In the moisture content in dry basis, weight of moisture by dry weight. So into 100. So this is the formula to measure the moisture content in a grains. And we can convert the wet basis into dry basis to in wet basis, like in the formula the wet basis moisture content in wet basis equal to moisture content in dry basis by 1 plus moisture content in dry basis. Our moisture content in dry basis can be calculated in basis with respect to moisture content in wet basis as moisture content in wet basis divided by 1 minus moisture content in wet basis. So this relationship is arrived from this relationship. So this is useful for material storage. And we can measure the moisture content or determine the moisture content by two methods. One is by direct method and another one is by indirect method. Direct method, the physical change cannot be possible, but indirect method, there is a changes in physical change to electrical change. Then first one, in the indirect method also, the water activity will convert it into electrical properties, any of the electrical properties such as conductance, capacitance, or resistance. So in the direct method, we have three different methods. One is by oven method, that is hot air oven or vacuum oven. Then second one is the solvent distillation method. In these two different types are adapted: tin stock method and brown buell apparatus. Then third one is infrared moisture meter. So in the coming to the indirect method, the digital moisture meters methods, universal moisture methods are adapted. So this is the moisture content in direct method or indirect method. The moisture content is estimated by directly weighing and measurement of water or moisture present is called the direct method. In indirect method, the electrical properties like resistance, capacitance, and conductance vary with the moisture content. Using electrical measuring circuit, the moisture content is indirectly measured. Accordingly, they are calibrated to measure the moisture content. So this is the first one, the hot air oven method. So we have to take the sample and we have to weigh it, and we have to keep the grain sample. If the grains and nuts as per the ASCC standard, we have to adapt to 130 plus or minus 1 degree centigrade for 1 hour to 2 hour, or otherwise 100 degree plus or minus 1 degree centigrade for 24 hours. If the material is fruits and vegetables, as per ISAE standard, the 70 degrees centigrade is adapted at 60 millimeter mercury pressure for 6 hours. If the spices, a standard of as per the ASTA standard, 110 plus or minus 1 degree centigrade, 1 to 3 hours is followed. Then finally, we are, after the duration is completed, we are taking the final weight, so that wet weight or the dry weight is measured. Then the difference between the wet weight minus wet weight and the dry weight is the moisture removed. So if we want to calculate wet basis, then moisture weight divided by wet weight is multiplied by 100. But dry basis means wet weight minus weight of moisture divided by dry weight multiplied by 100. And second method, the toluene distillation method. So in this the distillation column, we are filling the material and the solvent. So the solvent is weighing samples placed in the flask and filled with toluene in a heating mantle at 110 degrees centigrade. Then moisture present in the sample will be evaporate and reach the condenser, then note down the readings. So this is the toluene distillation. The same kind, another one is called infrared moisture meter. Do not change it, their chemical structure. So this instrument is used for measuring the moisture content directly from the infrared source. The loss in moisture is estimated. Read the scale and it will give the moisture lost in percent of moisture content on wet basis. This can be converted into dry basis later. Then these are all the digital moisture meters which is measured for moisture content in direct indirect methods. So it will, the probe will gives directly on the insert on the grains, so it will display the moisture content directly. The concept of changing the property with the capacitance, resistant and conductance properties such as electrical properties. Thank you.